This is WFYI News Now. It's March 26th, and I'm Abriana Herron. On today's show, a teachers' union asks for a moratorium on new schools in Indianapolis. A Marion County judge blocks the Indiana Department of Health from releasing abortion records. And renovations are in full swing along Georgia Street in downtown Indy.
If this is the first stop that they're making in our city. Then we're also seeing so much development happening on Georgia Street that another thing that we're focusing on downtown is creating these new public spaces that really support economic development.
Those stories coming up. But first, Indiana will create an online portal for Hoosier farmers, a one-stop shop for them to connect with the government. Indiana Public Broadcasting's Brandon Smith reports that's after Governor Mike Braun signed a bill to create a portal on Tuesday, the first measure Braun has signed into law.
Braun says the portal is an acknowledgement that navigating state and federal agencies is more complicated than it's ever been.
On this online portal, farmers can see regulatory checklists, access technical support, see available grants, and make their voices heard on federal regulation that affects them.
The State Department of Agriculture is expected to create and run the portal within its existing budget. The bill passed both chambers with overwhelming support. For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Brandon Smith at the State House.
A teachers' union has asked for a moratorium on new schools in Indianapolis. From WFYI's Education Desk, Sydney Dauphiné has more on what the group demanded from the Indianapolis Public Schools Board.
The Indianapolis Education Association submitted a petition to the board at a meeting Thursday night. The petition, with over 1,000 signatures, asks the board to take action against legislation that would shift funding away from the district's public schools and move it to charter schools. Monica Schellhamer is the vice president of the IEA. She wants the IPS board to stop partnering with charter schools. The board recently called for a moratorium on new charter schools opening in the city.
We really just want some action behind their words. The statement that they released does not actually inhibit a charter school from going to the board and saying, hey, I would love to open up a new innovation school in your district.
Schellhamer says when the district partners with independently run charter schools, it diverts funds away from district schools. I'm Sydney Dauphiné.
A Marion County Superior judge blocked the Indiana Department of Health from releasing abortion records, also known as terminated pregnancy reports. WFYI's Ben Thorpe reports the court granted a preliminary injunction on Monday to two Indianapolis physicians who argued that the release of abortion records would violate patient privacy.
Attorneys for the state and the anti-abortion group Voices for Life have previously argued that individual terminated pregnancy reports should be subject to public records requests. In granting the injunction, Judge James Joven found that the physicians were reasonably likely to succeed at trial, noting that the abortion records included sensitive patient information, including diagnoses and treatments. The court had previously approved a temporary restraining order, which was set to expire on Monday. The preliminary injunction will remain in place until the court has issued its final judgment on the case. In a statement, the two physicians said that they were thrilled by the court's decision and that, quote, privacy is an essential component of healthcare. Lawyers representing the state and Voices for Life did not immediately respond to our request for comment. I'm Ben Thorpe.
And for our final story today, renovations are in full swing along Georgia Street in downtown Indianapolis. As WFYI's Emma Matlock reports, the changes aim to build a better public space.
It's been more than 13 years since Georgia Street received a makeover for the Super Bowl. With numerous downtown redevelopment projects in the area, the city plans to transform a section of the street into a park-like setting with green space, canopies, and flexible plaza spaces, closed off to most traffic. Director of the Department of Metropolitan Development, Megan Vukasic, says the street is a vital connector, especially for visitors.
If this is the first stop that they're making in our city. Then we're also seeing so much development happening on Georgia Street that another thing that we're focusing on downtown is creating these new public spaces that really support economic development.
The city has appropriated about $9 million for the project. Construction should be finished next year. I'm Emma Matlock.
And that's all for today's episode of WFYI News Now. Our podcast is produced by Drew Daudelin and Zach Bundy, with support from the news team at WFYI and public media journalists across the state. Our news director is Sarah Neal-Estes. Kendall Antron produced our music, and I'm your host, Abriana Herron. If you like today's episode, remember to subscribe and share, and follow WFYI on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube to check in on our newsroom throughout the day. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow.